And that's the truth. What you just laid out are a series of facts, just the facts. Here's what we know, and here's the reaction to it. And yes, there are people who are willing to not just take her word as gospel. What makes her word more important than these young people? What makes her word gospel? Well, America teaches him, you don't matter, okay? Sometimes at all, certainly as much. And there are people who don't care about the facts you just eloquently laid out because the facts don't help them. The facts don't matter to them. They want to be proactive and they want to rewrite history sometimes and paint a picture and fit people into a box. But one of the things, Tizzy, that you said that I need people to understand, it's not hyperbole. This kind of thing gets Black young men killed, okay? It did in the 50s and it does today.
All right, guys, so we got to do a response video to Rashad Richey's latest response to the Citi-Bike Karen story. Now, I'm not actually calling a woman a Karen, okay? I'm simply just saying Citi-Bike Karen because that's how most people reference the story. Now, if you guys are not updated on the story, okay, I'm not gonna go into full detail about what happened, just footnotes here. A pregnant white woman was accused of stealing a Citi-Bike from a young Black teenager after she was leaving work, okay? The interaction, the altercation was recorded and it went viral, showing the woman on the bike trying to undock the bike. She did undock the bike. She was forced to redock the bike as the teenagers were accusing her of stealing the bike. Now, again, this story went viral and people like Rashad Richey prematurely and falsely accused the woman of being a racist, a pregnant thug, and trying to steal a bike from a Black teenager. Now, the story goes viral. The white pregnant woman gets doxxed, she gets harassed, she gets death threats, she gets placed on leave from her job until her lawyer comes out and shows receipts proving that she in fact did have possession of the bike, okay, that the bike was hers. Now, race hustlers like Rashad Richey immediately started to retract their statements and to issue an apology towards this woman because they don't want to get sued for defamation. Now, the family of the Black teenager is speaking out and crying victim because they're upset that Miss Sarah Jane Comery, which is the name of the so-called Citi-Bike Karen, raised a lot of money, I think over $100,000 for her defense, okay, because she's trying to keep her job. They got mad because she was raising money. Now they're coming out and crying victim and showing their receipts, which basically prove that her story is true, right? That she wasn't lying. Okay, however, they continue to actually defame her and to accuse her of being racist and weaponizing her whiteness. And they're crying victim and they're trying to raise money for what reason we really don't know. But allegedly, they filed a police report against her and they want the CCTV footage released. They want GoFundMe to refund people the money that donated to her. And they want her to come out and issue a formal apology. Okay, and they're claiming that, you know, hey, they're poor, they're Black, they're immigrants, and that they're the victims here, right? Nobody's siding with them, okay? Which, again, is a hilarious claim, right? Hilarious claim. But ultimately, because this family doesn't seem to be too smart, right? Which is why I'm not sure if I can call these young kids young scholars anymore, because, again, this is not scholarly behavior that they participated in which the sister of the Black teenager that accused the pregnant white woman of stealing the bike basically came out and incriminated her brother with receipts showing that her brother, in fact, docked the bike that he was using at 7:19. Okay, and Sarah Jane Connery, the pregnant white woman, came in, tried to rent the bike at 7:24. Okay, while the bike was free and available to use. And then the Black teenager tried to reclaim ownership of the bike, even though he wasn't renting it, because he stopped renting the bike, or he stopped riding the bike because he did not want to pay for extra time to ride the bike. So he tried to sit on the bike to make sure that nobody else used the bike, okay, without paying for it, okay? And then later receipts from him showed that he re-rented the bike after kicking off the pregnant white woman just to go nowhere for a few minutes. And then later on, like 20 or 30 minutes later, he took the bike home. So this guy tried to squat on the bike. He literally tried to sit on the bike for like 30 or 40 minutes straight. Okay, that was his intention. Okay, apparently he had some type of God-like authority over that bike, right? Possession over that bike. This is the argument that the family is making. And I want to talk about another detail here that has been brought to my attention, okay? Because people are saying, well, one of the young black scholars actually did end up giving up his e-bike to the woman. Now, I want to address that, but before I actually want to play the video so you guys can see what some people are saying is, well, this is one of the black scholars ultimately giving up the bike to the woman. Take a look.
Yo, don't not take it, bro. Now you're not getting the bike, bro.
Hey, now you're not getting the bike.
Help! You're not getting the bike. I'm not.
Why you took his phone? What's wrong with you?
You're
Don't
not
touch his
touching
phone.
my
Do not touch his phone.
I'm not touching you. You putting your stomach on my hand.
No, dude, stop. No, dude, stop. No. I said no. I said sit down.
Now, this scholar is right in saying, hey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Okay. And it seems like he's trying to give up the bike. Now, in the video I made yesterday, I made a statement about how none of these kids wanted to give up their bike. And as I was making that statement, my point was that according to the sister, okay, when she initially asked, she said, hey, I'm pregnant. Can you help a pregnant woman out? This is in the News One article as well, too. But I'm going to actually play the sister's testimony so you guys can see what she said, that she asked them, all of them, okay, according to the sister, can I get a bike? And all of them initially declined.
p.m. At 7:19 p.m., they dock the bikes. Sarah Jane Comrie walks up to them, asks, hey guys, can I use one of you guys' bikes? She says this as there are other bikes sitting idle at the bike rack. They politely decline. She asks them again, mentions that she's pregnant, and they still decline. Then, with my brother standing next to the bike with his hands on the handlebars, she jumps onto the bike.
Yeah, so as you heard out of the sister's mouth, and again, according to the News One article, she approached the group and she asked them, and they said no, okay? Now, in the News One article, they said that she stated she was pregnant, right? I'm a pregnant woman. Can you let me have the bike or whatever? Again, they said no, initially, according to News One and the sister. Now, the bike was not given up by the friend until the altercation escalated to a point that it did not need to get to. Okay, my whole point yesterday was that they should have instinctively known once the woman said, hey, I'm pregnant, okay, I need a bike, or when she asked for the bike, one of them should have instinctively just given her the bike before any altercation occurred, right? One of them should have just said, hey, you know what? You can take my bike. The friend that eventually did end up giving up the bike, and I know he ended up giving up the bike because I matched the serial number on the bike that he got off of to the serial number provided by the lawyer. He never gave up the bike until it escalated to the point of her calling for help. My point is that it should not have escalated to that point in the first place. Somebody should have instinctively said, yes, you can take my bike, you're pregnant, at the beginning, right? It should have never got to that point. That's assuming that the sister version of the story in regards to her approaching the group and asking for the bike is correct, okay? All this is assuming, just going off of what the sister said, okay? So I made that statement based off what the sister said that they initially declined, right? Which again, all of them should not have initially declined, especially after she told them that, hey, I'm pregnant, okay? Somebody should have given up the bike before it even escalated. But one of them did eventually end up giving up the bike, again, after it escalated, and he ultimately did the right thing, okay? And because he ultimately did the right thing, I will apologize to him and say, hey, you know what? Good on you for eventually giving up the bike, but you should have given up before. If you saw that she was asking for the bike, and if you initially declined, you should not have initially declined. But you know what? Because you ultimately gave up the bike, I apologize.
This is my bike. It's on my account.
Yeah,
Please move.
All right, so why don't we reset the bike?
I'm not resetting the bike.
It's his.
Reset it. I'm gonna pull it out on your account.
You are active.
I don't give a fuck.
This is my bike. Crying.
Guys,
This is fake crying. Stop fake crying.
Hey, stop touching me. I don't touch you.
Hold up.
Hey, stop touching me. Stop touching me.
Why don't you take this bike?
Stop touching me.
I will.
Exactly. So take
Fuck out of
it.
here.
So take it.
You're stupid ass. Fuck out of here. Dumbass. Your baby gonna come out with
Wait. How you stop crying?
that is an update on the situation. That is Spark Notes. If you guys need to know what's going on here, anybody with 2 brain cells to rub together knows that the black teenager is in the wrong, okay? But let's listen to Rashad Richey's show, because it's not actually Rashad Richey responding to this. They took him off of this segment for some reason. Again, it just so happens that Anna Kasparian, his colleague, put out a video denouncing race hustlers in alternative media who basically make a living trying to demonize and smear white women simply for being white, which is exactly what Rashad Richey and his sidekicks do, right? Like this woman right here, Sharon Reed, who probably will have a better career in adult voice acting, right, than actually being a political commentator, just based off how she talks. Exactly what, again, she is going to do in this video right here, in which she's going to push this false narrative that, again, black men's lives are in danger because of white women, okay? And she's going to do this with this zesty white liberal by the name of TizzyEnt. Okay, they're going to discuss this. I want to respond to it because it's just as ridiculous as you think. So, without further ado, let's actually get into this.
This is America. Look at your life, America. Okay? It seems pretty clear, but there's this mountain of evidence that black youth, black boys, black young men have to climb, it seems, when a certain type persuasion points the finger.
You know, it's hilarious. Just listen to the way she talks, right? A certain type persuasion points the finger. See, again, I think there's some internal battles going on behind the scenes at TYT. That's my gut feeling. I don't know. But just listening from the way that she's talking, right? She really don't want to poke the bear here. Again, considering what Anna Kasparian just put out here, okay, about people like her who, again, make a living demonizing white women just because they're white. Now, they're trying to, again, reimagine this story, right? And trying to make it seem like, well, these black youth, they have to have a mountain of evidence to prove their innocence, to make people believe their side of the story, when the reality is that they put out a video, accused this woman of being racist, and stealing the bike with no evidence whatsoever outside of just a short video, and the whole world believed them, right? Every mainstream liberal outlet believed them, right? I mean, the mainstream liberal media participated in the doxing and harassing of this woman, okay? The hospital that she worked at placed her on leave, okay? Again, they're trying to straight up reinvent this story to make it seem like from the get-go, these young black scholars were victims, right? And that nobody believed them from the get-go. And it's just insane and also fascinating at the same time to watch this happen in real time. And that's why I'm doing so many response videos to this story, is because just watching the left's mental gymnastics, it's insane. I mean, again, these people have serious issues upstairs. Like, I'm so serious. The elevator is not going all the way to the top floor. It's either that or they just want so bad to just not take the L, right? They want to hold on to this racial narrative that's just simply not there so bad that they're willing to bend and twist reality in order to make their narrative be true. And it's pathetic. It's sad.
What say you?
Yeah, I've been a part of this story since the beginning. I've been talking to his sister since last week. And that is the issue. I mean, I can't speak for anyone else. I can only say myself. I made a video initially about that video, and it had nothing to do with a stolen bike. I didn't care about a stolen bike. That was not what I saw that alarmed me.
Again, see, here they're moving the goalposts, man. Oh, it was not about the bike being stolen. And the reason why they're saying that now is because they know that based off the woman's receipts, okay, that she didn't steal the bike. So now they're moving the goalposts and saying, well, it was never about her stealing the bike, when that's literally what they was crying about from the get-go, right? Is that they accused her of stealing the bike. Now that there's a chance that these people, again, can get sued for defamation, now all of a sudden, it was never about her stealing the bike, right? Now it's about the fact that she was being a Karen, okay? Again, it's just amazing.
I saw that alarmed me was the response to him, her screaming help like that, and pointing out, this is dangerous. This gets young black men killed, a la Emmett Till.
Again, these people, it's funny. They keep making these silly claims about white women screaming for help getting black men killed, but they can't provide a real world example in which that happened. That's not what happened in the Emmett Till story, right? That's not what happened at all. Okay, it was not a white woman screaming for help and then the white lynch mob came out of nowhere and killed Emmett Till on the spot. That's not what happened. Okay, but they want so bad to make it seem like the United States we're still living in the 1950s when that's not happening. There is no real world examples of what they're screaming at the top of their lungs about in regards to what they have an issue with here, what they claim they have an issue with now, which is this woman's response. Okay. It's just hilarious. It's just hilarious. They're making stuff up, right? They're making things up.
Don't do this. And then receipts came and a narrative came and a press push came that vilified him. And suddenly he was a thug and he was a thief and he and his friends were intimidating a young pregnant woman. And no one bothered to talk about the fact that he was a 17-year-old high school kid who acted more like an adult in that video, in my opinion, than she did. And then, like he said,
yeah, so acting like an adult is basically wishing that the woman's child come out as mentally challenged, right? That's acting like an adult. Cursing and throwing a fit is acting like an adult. Because in my opinion, acting like an adult would have been the young black teenager being mature enough to give the pregnant woman the bike. Because apparently what they were fighting over, right, the argument was over an e-bike, okay? A bike that's, I believe, easier to pedal because it's electric or whatever. Which, again, in that case, if there were other bikes available, the black teenager should have took the other bikes and should have gave the e-bike to the pregnant woman because that would have been the kind and courteous thing to do. That would have been the adult thing to do, right? The adult thing to do is not to curse the woman out and to basically wish ill will on her and her unborn child. Again, it's just amazing, right? Again, these people are not living in reality. And this is why I say people like this guy right here, again, I'm just saying, I'm not sure they should be able to vote. I'm so serious. I'm so serious. People who still believe this narrative, especially people who donated to this family's GoFundMe, again, I'm not sure if you should be able to vote. You simply don't have the intellectual capacity to do so. Now, this guy, I mean, this guy's, this is a hustle, right? So again, he's probably doing this because again, he has to play the guilty white liberal role, right, for his audience. That's his role, right? So again, he knows that this is a lie. He knows that he's pushing a false narrative. He knows what he's doing. But again, the people that believe him, that are buying into this stuff, I got serious questions, right, about whether or not you should actually be voting. I'm so serious.
Said no one was sharing his story. No one was being a voice for him.
No one was sharing his story. No one was being a voice for him when quite literally the network that this man is on straight up attacked the woman and doxed her, right? The local news media, the news media was going after the woman as well too, right? Everybody was on the teenager's side, but they want you to forget that. Again, they're pretending like that never happened, right? They're pretending like the narrative up until the point where the woman showed receipts, evidence that she did not steal the bike, that never happened. Again, this reimagining of history is truly something to behold, right? It really is. This stuff should be studied. This should be a case study, okay? It really should be.
It seemed. And then now we have his receipts and we have his, words about what happened. What's crazy to me is that's what we have from both sides of this. We have receipts and we have a claim of how it went down, and we have receipts and we have a claim of how it went down. One is not more or less, believable than the other. I personally see enough of his story that makes sense than I do with the other. Yet there's a whole group of people I've seen who took her word as gospel and say he is a liar automatically before they've even really reviewed.
And you didn't do that, right? You didn't do that when the video first came out. You didn't just take their word as gospel and smear that woman, right? Again, it's just amazing, right? It's absolutely amazing just to watch these people and the mental gymnastics they're doing after the fact. It's just so funny. They're trying so hard to hold on to this. Okay, they can't let it go. They can't take the L here. It's so funny.
Anything. While she is literally paying PR firms to put out op-ed pieces, and I'm assuming she's paying them, because why else is that happening? But there was a piece
because her story's correct, right? That's why that's happening. And also on top of that, nobody's demonizing the teenager, right? All these people coming out here tomorrow, they're being demonized, they're victims. It's like, bro, nobody even knew who they were. If they would have never even spoke out, this story would have went away. The story was over. I was prepared to stop talking about the story, okay, until they spoke out. I was done with it. I was like, okay, it's over, right? Like we know what happened. Again, this is just so funny to me. It's so hilarious.
In USA Today, there was an op-ed piece by a man who works and founded Proven Media Solutions, painting a picture that she has been vilified falsely, etc. And I understand that it's damage control and it's something to try and help with her appearance in the media and so forth and to save her job. That's why she has an employment attorney. But whether on purpose or not, it makes that young man collateral damage.
No, what makes him collateral damage is his side of the story, right? His side of the story, his sister, right, who's a very, very, very talented attorney, right, or wannabe attorney. Okay, I'm being sarcastic about that, but I'm just saying. I hope she never represents anybody in the court of law, right, considering the job that she did on this. He admitted with receipts and timestamps that he did not have possession of the bike. The bike was not his. You cannot just physically sit on a bike and say, hey, you can't rent a bike because you want to save money. Once you dock the bike, your ride is over. Point blank, period. That's it. That's the end of the story. These people are simply holding on to this idea that you can squat on a bike to keep other people from renting the bike. Okay? Now, again, if you apply this same line of logic to any other situation, it wouldn't make sense. For example, how much sense would it make for somebody to rent a parking spot and then leave and then have somebody sit in that parking spot for 30 minutes and say, hey, nobody else can rent this parking spot. Nobody else can pay for this parking spot. Nobody else can park here because I have somebody that's coming back to take this parking spot. And I'll give you another example that's probably even better than that one. You can't rent a car, turn the car in, and then go outside and put your hand on the car and say, hey, I'm in possession of this car because I'm going to rent the car again, 40 or 50 minutes later, okay, and keep somebody else from renting the car. Again, unless you already have a, agreement with the company that, in fact, you can claim possession of that car, you can reserve it. That's not how the bikes work, right? You don't just get to reserve the bike because you got your hand on it when you know that you don't have intentions of actually riding the bike right then and there, which we know he did it, evidenced by the receipts that he provided showing that after he kicked the pregnant woman off the bike, he rented the bike, went nowhere because, again, he wanted to reserve the bike to make sure that nobody could use it, and then he actually ended up leaving. He took the actual trip home on the bike 30 or 40 minutes later from when he initially docked the bike in the first place. Absolutely amazing. Kid basically said, look, I'm going to squat on this bike, and he attempted to do so for 30 or 40 minutes straight based off the receipts that they provided, and I'm not going to let anybody else rent it. Again, who in their right mind thinks that that's cool, that you can do that? I'm just saying, these people are just, they're not even going over that aspect of it because they're not interested in that. They're just simply interested in holding on to this racialized narrative that they've concocted for this story because, again, this is the race hustle. They have nothing else except this, okay? They have nothing else. And this is why these people must be challenged, right? This is why I'm making these response videos, because I'm challenging them every single time they come out and they talk. Everything they say, I'm directly challenging it because these people have to be confronted on their lies, okay?
Beautiful. Couldn't have said it better. And that's the truth. What you just laid out are a series of facts.
No,
just the facts.
There's no facts.
Here's what we know, and here's the reaction to it. And yes, there are people who are willing to not just take her word as gospel. What makes her word more important than these young people?
Well, it's not about anybody's word. It's literally about the evidence and the receipts, right? It's not even about her word anymore. It's literally the evidence and receipts. You can piece together what happened and who had proper official ownership of the bike at what time. Plus the video, we know what happened, right? Again, now we can argue about whether or not the teenager was actually there with his hand on the bike or whatever when Sarah Jane Connolly came up, or whether or not she strong-armed the young man into getting the bike. We can have an argument about that all day, but to me, it doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter because at the end of the day, that teenager, based off the receipts, had intentions of squatting on the bike for 30, 40 minutes straight without actually using the bike. He was keeping other people from using the bike because he didn't want to lose that electric bike. That's what he was doing. And you cannot do that. He also doesn't have good manners, right? He probably doesn't have great home training as well either, okay? Because, again, this story should have just been him giving a woman the bike because, you know, he's a good, upstanding young man, right, who would inconvenience himself for pregnant women. But, again, nobody's talking about it. The left-wing liberal media, they will never bring these things up, okay? They would much rather make this able-bodied young black teenager a victim. Treat him like he's some type of baby, like he's some super innocent person who is such an upstanding gentleman. Meanwhile, we have literal video evidence of him wishing ill will on this woman's child over a bike and cursing at her. Yeah, upstanding gentleman, right? I'm pretty sure.
What makes her word gospel? Well, America teaches him you don't matter, okay? Sometimes it all certainly is much. And there are people who don't care about the facts you just eloquently laid out.
He didn't lay out the facts, right? He skipped over so many facts. What are you talking about? They're not talking about facts right now, right? They're talking about their fantasy world because they believe their viewers are dumb. Okay, this is what they're doing.
Because the facts don't help them. The facts don't matter to them.
Facts don't matter. Wow.
They want to be proactive and they want to rewrite history sometimes.
Oh my God.
And paint a picture and fit people into a box.
Oh my
God. A box for her, and you can figure out what that box means and supports, and a box for him. And he's already verbalized what that means for him. I don't know, as the mother of a black child, if you can have enough talks to keep people safe. But one of the things, Tizzy, that you said that I need people to understand, it's not hyperbole. This kind of thing gets black young men killed.
Give me an example.
Okay?
Give me an example.
It did.
Give me an example.
In the 50s?
Who? Because that's not what happened in the Emmett Till case. That's not what happened, right? Give me an example.
And it does today.
Where? When? When does this ever happen? Again, they keep telling me that white women are so dangerous, they're getting black men killed. When has that happened? They're not giving any specific examples. When? When does that happen?
And it's not a game, and it's not a PR campaign. It's actually about life and breathing, surviving.
Yo, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'll give you the rest.
These people are insane.
No, and I mean, I've seen people ask, why did those boys start recording? Because they knew that. Because they knew that behavior like that gets them killed, gets them arrested. They knew they were in danger, and they pulled out a phone and started recording to protect themselves. And then what does he see? He sees a ton of people donating thousands of dollars to her. She raised over $100,000 on a GoFundMe.
After she proved that she was innocent of a crime she didn't commit. Again, they leave that whole part out of it. They leave the part out of it where this woman was demonized, she was placed on leave, she was doxxed by this network. They leave all that out of it, right? They don't mention any of that. This is amazing.
Good news is, myself and others encourage that family to post a GoFundMe. They finally did yesterday afternoon. They've raised over $50,000 so far. And I hope that continues to happen because every interaction that I've had with them, they are sweet, kind, loving people who never even wished ill will on her. He just had worked very hard to find a bike. He had the bike, his hands are on the bike, and he needed to get home. He literally needed the bike.
He needed to get home.
And then it turned into something else. What should have been a simple dispute or conversation or disagreement between two people turned into something much bigger. And then has been used to paint a picture of him as something else. And he's now has to defend himself for simply going out on a ride with his friends.
This is insane. The level of insanity in that video. This is why I'm not sure if this is the other side. If this is how they deal with reality and facts, this country's done for. Right? We're done for. There is no coming together. There is no singing kumbaya. You can't reason with people like this. They're not operating in reality at all, especially when it comes to this story right here. They don't care about the facts, okay? They don't care about these simple facts, okay? I mean, it's amazing how they're going out of their way to rewrite history. That's quite literally what they're doing. And they're trying to accuse other people of doing that when that's what they're doing, okay? It's unbelievable. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.